What's up and welcome to the totally first take and recording of the SPL recap. This will be our final episode ever talking about season one. It's going to be locked up in the dungeons. I got Hamilton here, and then I have our season one champion, the coach of Fredchester United, Fred himself. Fred, how are you feeling after a successful season one campaign?
First of all, I just want to put it out there. Glory, glory, Fredchester United. And it's been, I've been celebrating like crazy. I, t- I took I took myself and four members. No, five. Sorry, can't forget about Critter. Took my 5 team members to Vegas. For about a week and a half. Got partied like the Capitals did when they won the Stanley Cup in Vegas, and I've been violently hungover the last 3-4 days because of said trip. So yeah, it's been a time.
I mean,
Fred, did you give any notice to the players who you dropped mid-season? Did they get any kickback out of the win, or were
Oh, I
they
did.
just
I sent them a check of the winnings that my team received.
okay? Okay.
But
really?
like but I mean they helped contribute. Like the players on the practice squad still still end up getting a ring.
But like, do you,
If
I don't
anyone's
I don't think
doable.
it's the norm that people who get kicked off the team retroactively get paid. I mean, respect to you, but like if I'm one of those dry bones and some of what could have been given to me is being given to like a Monty Mole that you ejected week one, like I'm kind of pissed. Um, but that's just my 2 cents. Um, yeah, I also want to give
Yeah,
you
that's
credit
only me.
Fred. That glory Fred United call. As the final series ended was spectacular. But let's work our way there. So
Yeah.
last time we talked was after the final week of the regular season. We were doing some table setting for playoffs. Playoffs have happened and fully resolved. So we have all the results here. So now we got to
Do,
hop in
do
the.
we want to Do we quickly want to bring up your guys' predictions from the playoffs of what they were, and then we can compare to what actually happened?
Um, yeah, sure. You just got to give
Be-
me a second to do that.
Yeah,
But
because I personally didn't do one because I didn't want to. Because when I do stuff like that, it doesn't usually work out for me. And yeah, so it would have to be your guys' predictions. To
yeah.
be honest.
So we can take a look here and see what Hamilton and I had predicted. I'm assuming that's what you guys are now seeing up on the screen. If I
Do we
did that
have the
successfully.
one where we initially predicted Colin getting bounced?
No, that one was lost because we actually had a god bracket. Um, we had pretty sure I'm pretty sure every single bracket was ruined within the first round, if not,
Yep.
very early into the second. Um, but this was the podcast predictions. It was just Hamilton and me for that episode. And so we can kind of bounce a little bit between what we predicted versus what actually happened. So the order of the games kind of flipped around a little bit. The first game that we played uh, for week one was Grant versus Freddie. Um,
Mhm.
and so let's see, Hamilton and I. Um, this is really easy to read. We did a good job
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
um,
I'm
Hamilton
pretty sure
picked
we had Fred win this.
no. It went to the coin, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, we did not.
But the coin, coin spoke.
Yeah, the coin spoke the truth. Fred, were you expecting to get this win over Grant?
Um, I wasn't sure how it was gonna all play out because I remember you guys mentioning I think your predictions that if Grant were to actually make prediction, like actually do the bans, because I know he ended up wheeling for his. And that if I didn't get Thunder Island through, it would or not Thunder Island, the Wastelands through, it would probably be a problem for me. And I kind of believe that too, but I, I fully went in thinking, okay, I think if I get this to game three, it'll be great. But or sorry, game if I can get this to game 5, it would be great. However, it ended up working out in my favor, thankfully. But I was not expecting the result it ended up being.
Yeah, I think obviously we found out just how important like picking and banning is, and I think like as Hamilton and I were talking to each other and like planning, we realized like you
You're
can
cutting in and out,
manipulate
Austin.
things a
Yeah.
lot by doing so.
Uh
But the Dry Bones team was, I think, way
oh.
scarier on vanilla.
We'll be
What's
back
up?
in a second. For our listeners, I want you to react to this message in an audio stream if you think that Freddy's team was rigged.
How was it rigged?
It was rigged.
Oh,
He did something no one else could do.
what did I do? Like, actually,
Nothing.
you did it too.
Then I went away, Freddy. I had class.
Hey, defense wins championships, and I stuck with my defense.
It was not defense. It was the best shooter on the league.
Yeah.
But he's also like got that power to level people out. So
Austin, I don't know if you put together that you are cutting in and out like crazy.
Interesting.
yeah,
No.
I heard up until it's important for map picks, and then there was just silence.
Okay. Well, I actually how do you guys hear me now?
We
Fine.
hear. Yeah,
Okay.
you're good now.
I think there's
It's-
actually a good chance that it was on the internet end and not the
Yeah.
recording end. So
Okay.
I think they might have heard me crystal clear, but thank you for thank you for
Yeah,
stepping in there.
If you could just clue us into what you said that we did not hear live.
All the
while
dry
everyone
bones are.
I said they were incredibly good on vanilla maps and all maps, which is kind of what Hamilton was alluding to. Is that you know Freddie found the recipe and he stuck with it more than anyone else. And yeah, triple dry bones, he's just the best thing in the entire league, and it's
Mhm.
not really close. But we can go ahead. I don't think there's too much. Hamilton, do you have anything more to say about Grant versus Freddie?
Unfortunate for Grant, he had a really good season, and then not being present, I think, actually had a significant impact on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he also like not change his lineup at all throughout the
Yeah,
season?
but once you find the meta, why do you need to move away from it?
But I think he said. But Grant's the team that accidentally found the meta, right?
Yeah, but
Right.
he found it.
he was off meta slightly at the start, and then he accidentally thought he was submitting the same roster and made a tweak to end up on Toad, Boo, Dry Bones.
Yeah.
And like week 3, and it paid dividends. Speaking of two teams that did
Oh
not
my
make
gosh, yeah.
any roster changes throughout the entire scene, this one was a little difficult to watch play out just because Jacob, I believe, went to the wheel for his map picks, and David was like up late, like studying maps.
Yeah.
Hamilton, I think you got to talk to David a little bit about his analysis. How was he feeling going into the series?
I think he was very confident going into the game. I did get to look at some Excel stuff with him, and I will confirm that he was doing some math over there. Unfortunately, in the end, it didn't matter. But I think that Dave will take it more serious next season and not run Triple Toad, mostly because Triple Toad I don't think will be an option to him.
He might get it. You never know.
I would say that I think it's impossible.
Mhm.
But I think that Dave is very sad about the result here, and that Jacob should be excited to know that how he tailed off at the end of the regular season did not impact his start of playoffs.
I have a question just for both of you. There's been a lot of talk about saying that, David got the most out of Luigi possible, which I do think that, there could be some truth to. But do you think he got the most out of his team possible? Like, for
I think he
example,
cut out again. Up
Oh.
there you go.
well, this is good.
Or it's on my end. I don't know.
It sounds like Hamilton's hearing it too.
That one I didn't hear the cutout on.
Okay, then that was me. Apologies.
Um, but do you guys think that David's team would be better if he had made a change throughout the season?
Are we assuming that his captain remained constant?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like, do you think like it's I think you can make a pretty good argument that he got the best out of Luigi in terms of Luigi's production, but do you think he got the best out of the team that he possibly could?
I would say I think that he could have gotten more out of his team simply by just going to triple dry bones.
Yes.
Simply because we have seen statistics, and now Freddie has won. Sorry to spoil it. Um,
Damn it. Here goes
that
the element of surprise.
triple dry bones was in fact the meta, and no matter what you threw at it, it didn't seem to budge. So I think that if David had gone triple dry bones, he would have possibly had better production out of Luigi and definitely had a better season.
Mm-hmm. So
What?
your
Where
your
did?
sort of your sort of line of thought, Hamilton, is that everyone at any moment should have been adding dry bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which I think I agree with Freddie. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, as the person that had the most dry bones on their team at the end of the season, they did work wonders for me after I did make that change. So I think if he had, I don't think maybe he didn't need to add all three. I think maybe if he kept that one of the toads in there for the speed and the passing, it would have worked great. But I think at least one or two dry bones would have helped for sure.
Yeah. Which I think there's room for opinion, and we'll see what rosters people build in season 2. But we'll talk about later what you can build is going to be significantly different, and I do not think that we will ever see triple dry bones again. But the next series was an absolute banger. I played against Garrett. Um, Back and forth stuff. This was the rematch of the Forbidden Game. I believe that Garrett went to double toads and a dry bones, and I think I was double dry bones and a toad. And he actually kind of a theme for this playoffs was that the dry bones teams actually weren't as good on Wasteland. I think a couple times Freddie lost Wasteland, and I ended up losing it in this series. So maybe that map isn't quite as solved as we thought. Um, did
So I want in my match versus Grant, that 6-2 was on the Wastelands. However, whenever match I had it next, I did lose. So I did win the first one, but the later ones I did lose. Lose.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was just looking a little bit less dominant. I think actually the dry bones ended up being even more dominant on other maps. But it was a crazy series. Unfortunately for Garrett, it ended up being decided by an own goal. That
Yeah.
5-4, that was how it was ended. But to be honest, I don't really think Garrett can be upset about his season, considering that he was gifted a life jacket when he was like in the middle of the ocean with like sharks swimming everywhere. Like the fact
Yeah.
that he made the playoffs is just such a freaking miracle, and he should thank Eric before he goes to bed every night. Um,
Yeah. The kid almost pulled off the Great Escape. It to be honest, he went from almost last to playoffs. That's commendable, even if he was helped out tremendously by Eric. But regardless, he did pull that off to get from where he was to the playoffs. So that is something to look forward to for next year, I hope.
yeah, and this was the first two teams that were eliminated. We said goodbye to David and Garrett. Because that first match where Freddie beat Grant was in the upper bracket. Next up, we had our other upper bracket matchup, which was
Oh boy.
Colin versus Hamilton. And Hamilton, can you speak to sort of the psychology of how you pull off a comeback like this? Because you were down, you got blown out in the first game, and I'm pretty sure you were down in the second too. Like, how do you rally a team like that?
I mean, look, if I'm gonna chalk it up to anything, it's gotta first off tip my hat to Colin. He had a hell of a season. Um, he pretty much had the series in the bag. But I will vividly remember a Overwatch game that Austin and I played where we actually got so pissed at Overwatch that we just decided that we were going to speak out loud how much we hated it. And then we rolled the other team. And so, kind of similar philosophy here. You just state that you don't want to play anymore. And the best way to do that is to just speak that out loud. And then, in this case, the SPL gods will look down and be like, he doesn't want to play anymore. We're going to punish him some more. Let him win. And boy, did it work. Um, kudos to the team. I don't even know what team comp we were running. I think it was double toed dry bones. I don't know what happened there. I would never have anticipated me beating Colin. So sorry to Colin. Crazy to have the 1 and 2 seed get bounced in the first round of playoffs, but also kind of cool that it happened.
Yeah, which it does bring up that the upper bracket had upsets and the lower bracket did not. So it's really like a back and forth as to who won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think technically Jacob was an upset over David. But they were so.
Well, I mean, in terms of like seeding.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
I think Jacob was the lower seed.
Yeah, but they were. It was goal difference, right? So there wasn't really a favorite there. But no, two huge upsets, and Hamilton really cornerstoned the self depreciation meta, which is really strong, arguably stronger than triple dry bones.
Absolutely.
Next game, I do think, as Freddie was alluding to, was a massive upset.
Yeah.
Jacob versus Grant. This was a full wheel series. No one was there to pick maps. Just two teams running against each other, and we had Grant, one of the hottest teams in the entire league, pretty much throughout the entire season, versus Jacob, who was absolutely floundering at the end. Freddie, what do you attribute this series to? I really can't make much sense of it.
So, I would say the Yoshmeister. That green dinosaur went on an insane run. He was insane. Like I remember Yoshi doing so much more in terms of like power-ups and item placement and just shots in general compared to Bowser Jr. that it was like he just put Bowser Jr. in a corner and didn't let him get up from timeout. Like he put Bowser Jr. in timeout, Yoshi, and it really showed because I don't remember Bowser Jr. doing much. Now you can put the other team members up against each other, but Yoshi just surged to greatness that we know he's done in previous weeks, but in the earlier weeks as compared to the later weeks. But Yoshi just absolutely went off.
Yeah, and I think Bowser Jr. only scored 3 goals in his first series. Not him himself, but sorry, that team. Grant's team only scored 3 goals in the first series and 4 goals in the second. That's just not enough, and never what you'd expect from that roster. They were one of our highest goal difference teams across the whole season, and they were just completely flat. Next up, I genuinely felt
that series was insane. I was just flabbergasted when those results were happening.
Yeah. Next
As
series.
was this next series.
Yeah, I felt bad just because it was just sad to witness a man crumble right in front of our eyes. Colin team looked like definitively the best team, minus 1 week where they got triple dry bones, or dry boned. I don't know. And just to fall flat like this in the playoff, Hamilton, as a fellow Colin, I don't want to say Colin beater.
Appreciator.
Colin
No,
beater.
as a fellow Colin beater, Hamilton. Do you think he just kind of what do you think went wrong for him?
Honestly, I said my prediction too early. That's what happened. I knew that the law of large numbers would affect Colin eventually, and I think that this is just it happening. And so I don't think Colin did anything wrong. I think that his team was good. His team comp was good. I think in the end, true.
Hamilton, you have disappeared from my ears. Can either of you hear me? Is anyone there?
Yeah,
I hear
there
you.
Okay. Well, I lost everything for a second there, I guess. Freddie, were you hearing Hamilton?
I heard him for a little bit, and then I heard silence.
Okay. I said that essentially Colin didn't peak at the right time.
Mhm.
Happens to the best of them. Look at March Madness.
Oh.
But this team had too many wins too early, and therefore, at the end, the law of large numbers, which we have not reached the point of, had to bring him back down to statistical average.
Yeah, and if you had made that pred in the before playoffs, saying that he wouldn't win a single game, I think that that would have gone down as one of the greatest preds in history. So once again, the oracle comes true eventually. You can try and run from it, but he will catch you.
Colin, consider yourself caught.
I would like to clarify that Colin did win a game. He did beat me.
No, he didn't win anything.
No,
Yeah.
just
I mean,
get that one off the board.
who cares about that game? So that then took us into week 2, where in the upper bracket final we had Freddie versus Hamilton. We switched from best of 3s to best of 5s, which was actually a very impactful shift because it very much changed, what you could and couldn't affect in terms of map pool.
Yeah.
I was talking to Hamilton before the series. We were just both, just kind of throwing ideas off each other about our upcoming matchups. And Hamilton was sort of running his mind through a couple different comps. Um, I believe you ended up on double-toed dry bones. What sort of swayed you towards that compared to other comps? Because I think you were running toad boo dry bones in the series before.
I think I was looking at what Colin had ran, and I watched the gameplay between Colin and Freddie. And in my opinion, from that gameplay, the big thing that separated it was Wario. And, well, I will state, kind of teasing into the tier list, that I don't think Donkey Kong is Wario. And so I was like, okay, we got to beat Freddie with an actual team, not just with our captain. And I thought that the passing ability of the two Toads would be what helped me get there. It was not in the end, and that was unfortunate. But we did get a game off of him, which made me feel good. But we'll tip my hat to Freddie. We did try the self-depreciation. It did not work. Freddie is too strong-willed. His team is too well drilled for that to work.
Freddie,
So.
were you feeling confident like going into playoffs, going into these matchups? Because I don't think you understand like the amount of despair that everyone else felt playing, like seeing the triple dry bones on the other side of the field.
God, I didn't know everyone hated my team that much. I after seeing Ham beat Colin, I actually was very nervous that I was gonna lose because Ham is the only person that really put up that much of a fight against Colin. And Colin is the only team that beat me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think it's I still really
I was very
I still really don't know how Colin won that series, to be honest.
yeah. Well, the own goal didn't help things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but especially at that third game when Ham pulled one back, I thought, oh shit. And he was self-depreciating. I was like, "Oh god, he's gonna reverse sweep me." I genuinely thought that at the time, like he's gonna reverse sweep me, isn't he? But thank but thankfully my boys pulled out the win, and I'm happy that we did. But fair play to you, Ham, for th- thank you for, and I enjoyed our matchup thoroughly.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good one, and
Yeah.
it wasn't over for either of you. I mean, the lower bracket was looking a little bit dangerous, but Hamilton still had a chance to punch his way back up there. Um, Next series, I played against Jacob, and this is the part where I really started to enjoy map picking, just because like I think that there's certain captains that you can do it against and some that you can't. And
Mhm.
like being able to sort of like select your comp and then also like to optimize on certain maps, like their Yoshi's egg roll on Wasteland is just like so diminished. So like being able to build like my team around that, I felt very confident coming in here. And the boys put down the result. It was a valiant run by Jacob making it this far. I don't think anyone would have thought so. Um, in our predictions, we had him getting bounced by Grant. He already got that huge upset. So it was a good run to end Jacob's season, but this series itself wasn't very flattering. It wasn't super close. But that set up the next
Kind of
matchup,
walked all over.
which was Hamilton versus me. And coming in, I was at double dry bones and toad, and Hamilton was at double toad and dry bones. And I was petrified that we would end up in a mirror matchup because we had done that earlier in the
As
season,
you
and it
should have
was
been.
it was just horrendous. And so to dodge that fear, I went to triple dry bones. The last thing that was on my radar was Hamilton going to triple toad. Can you walk me through where that came from? Because that was not something I was ever considering.
Um, I was at this point. I knew that if I was gonna go play Freddy again, I was gonna need something different than what I just had.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was a tribute to Dave, who managed to go the entire season with Triple Toad. And I was under the thought process of I knew that you were gonna try and um, but I also was like, hey, if they get the ball moving, maybe we can get Donkey Kong a little more involved. See if we can get some goals out of him, which would be helpful. But did not pan out in the end, and that was okay.
Yeah, looking at
I
the
thought,
scores here too, they were very, very low scoring games. Relatively close throughout.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah, they were very compact games,
I think that
especially
you
I
compared to
also
what
thought
happened
that
the last year.
I will say that I think I had the thought process that PD had a better chance of beating the triple dry bones um, than Donkey Kong did on a second attempt. Um, and so I think I was also under the premise of like, well, we're gonna try something, and if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, at least we get to see a different final, not a repeat of the final.
hmm that makes sense. And I ended up running a very different comp than you did in that first one because we were at that point we could not have been further apart. So you
Yeah,
know it was going to be something different. Um, I think my biggest regret, and who knows, maybe the series could have played out differently and I could have lost, is that going to dry bones kind of locked me into some weird comps
yeah.
where I couldn't get back to where I wanted to against Freddy, which was dry bones, Toad, and Hammer Bro. But anyway, that took us to the grand final, which literally, to cap off the season, I don't think we could have asked for anything more from a series. You never
Mhm.
want to go through a bunch of like great tight series, and then just have your final be like a flounder. And it lived up to the hype. We went to 5. We can kind of go map by map here a little bit. Freddie made the surprising pick of taking Petey to the Sand Tomb. Freddie, I'm curious what inspired that.
So, because PD's so big, and and like I know he has the mud and everything, and it could have worked to his advantage. But because PD's so big, he doesn't have as much speed behind him. So I thought putting him on the sand would slow him down and keep him off ball. When I knew with my dry bones and Waluigi with their teleporting ability, I knew that if they got it on the, I thought if they got it on the sand, they could teleport away and keep Petey where he was. So it was kind of defensive for me to just contain Petey in a way. If I got him on that outside barrier, which he did a little bit from what I remember, but uh, yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense, and honestly, I felt really good when you let that one through, and I was like, okay, there like is a chance that like I win this in three. Um, but you getting that win, stopped that. You had full control of the map pool because you had the only two bands as your upper bracket advantage. Um, Next couple of games, the boys actually got it done. We went to the dump and wastelands, and
yeah,
at that point, I still did not have a lot of hope against the triple dry bones. It kind of felt like an inevitability that things would swing back. Um, and that I'm trying to see what game it was. Uh, Once we got to map 4 and it was just vanilla maps to go and you beat me 4-0, that's when I really felt deflated of all hope.
yeah.
Which I think that
When on map 3, when you took that 0-4 win against him, like this is gonna be a problem because PD just objectively is a more offensive captain than Waluigi because he's got more power behind his
twice that.
Yeah,
shots and his skill strikes have been or his super strikes have been so. But like you said, when it turned around in game 4, I got my you may not. I kind of gained mine back in a way that maybe I can pull this off.
Yeah. And that you did. And even game 5 was an absolute banger. It was decided by a dry bones goal from open field, a little dribbler into the bottom corner. And Hammer Bro had a skill shot attempt with like less than 20 seconds left, but he
Oh
was
my gosh,
just he was just
I
slightly
saw
too far.
I saw those hammers fly. I'm like, no, my heart died. And as soon as I saw the first hammer go out, I was like,
Yeah. I knew unfortunately that he was just a little bit too far, but we did see one time this season a Hammer Bro skill shot go in without any of the hammers touching the goalie. So, it was theoretically possible, but they couldn't get it done. The boy, the hero, couldn't pull through. But Fredchester United, season 1 champions. Honestly, a great comeback story. I think halfway through the season you had only tied and we were, like stuck like very much in the middle of the table. But
yeah.
kudos to you for the late season surge and the eventual championship. Um, I do
I
think
can
that
actually
go
I
ahead.
would like actually quickly to accredit my victory this season to you, Austin. You made the suggestion that you wanted to see the triple dry bones match.
Hamilton, are you
Matchup,
losing
and
Freddie
I
every
never
now and
looked
then, or
back.
is it just me?
It is both of us.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yeah,
So let me say it again. I credit my season a little to a certain degree. You, Austin,
great.
when you made the call for the triple dry bones matchup against Ham, and I think it was either week 4 or week 5, uh, to mirror match each other with triple dry bones and our captain, and I made that change and see how it worked out. I never looked back. So
Well, thank you for that, and I appreciate knowing that I dug my own grave. Um,
I did it on a dare, and the dare paid off immensely.
that it did. But so I think it's going to be very hard. For we'll see if Freddie can repeat the championship, but it's gonna be a very different league, and um,
So in the form I when that you sent out, I did respond that I will be in season 2, but I left that question blank because there was only one option. I felt offended.
yeah. Well, what Freddie's alluding to is in the season 2 sign up form. There's an option to see if Freddie will win season 2 if he will defend his championship. As of right now, 100% of people do not think that Freddie will win the season 2 championship. So
I said I didn't click it, so it can't be
but when I look
100%.
at the graph, it
It's
says
100%.
100% of people do not think that Freddie will win season 2. So,
well, you only gave them one option.
That's not important.
yeah, 100% of people who were polled said that you would not win season 2.
God, I'm gonna have to run it back, aren't I?
But anyway, to talk about season 2 a little bit. So, it's going to be a very large restructuring of the league as a whole and how teams are built. Instead of being able to change your sidekicks unlimited and having your captains be the only exclusive thing that can be traded, now all sidekicks and captains will be exclusive. There will be 5 of each sidekick available in the draft. So sidekicks will be a scarce resources. And so that means that, your top sidekicks like Dry Bones and Toad, like we've kind of alluded to throughout the podcast, will be going very quickly in the first 2 rounds, and I think will be very difficult to build triple teams of. So, goodbye, triple Dry Bones. Most likely, goodbye, triple Toad. And we're gonna see some very different comps rolling out there on the field. Freddie and I, since we secured the top 2 spots in season 1, we have the option of retaining one sidekick from our current team. Um, if we do that, then we will be the bottom 2 picks in the first round of the draft. If not, we will go into random order like everyone else, except for the top spot will be decided by our toilet bowl. So, the last 4 teams in the league, which is Eric, a currently uncoached Mario team in NTNJV,
Got a
Danny
hell of a manager in the
and
wings.
Adam. Yeah.
Wait, what's happening?
What do you mean?
What an uncoached Mario team?
Shell will not be returning for season 2. So
Oh,
NTNJV is currently uncoached. So in theory, this toilet bowl could look a lot different. But these 4 teams will be fighting for the number 1 pick in the draft. There is no reward for coming second, third, or fourth, only the champion. They will only be playing on new maps that we are adding into the pool. So that'll be Crystal Canyon, Stormship Stadium.
shoot.
And then if they do go to a map 3, it'll be on one of the vanilla maps. Maybe we'll cycle through and show some different vanilla maps that people want to see. But in between their last game and this game, they are allowed to make one roster change. So we don't have definitive, lineups in terms of these Preds, which we never do actually.
Did
But
no team name just 5 finish on Triple Hammer, bro?
they did not.
Okay.
I can't remember what they added in, but we were robbed of the beauty that would have been Triple Hammer Bro versus Triple Hammer Bro. I'm pretty sure there's just a Dry Bones thrown in there.
Okay.
So Dirty Turtles was Triple Shy Guy. I'm gonna make the very strong assumption that it'll also be Triple Shy Guy for this matchup. Hamilton, who would you take in this prospective matchup?
Give me no team name, just vibes.
Is that coming from a stance of belief in the Mario team, or is that coming from just no belief in Triple Shy Guy?
I didn't hear what you said there.
Awesome.
I heard no belief, and that was it. that all I heard was no belief.
Are you making this choice out of belief in NTNJV or just pure disbelief in the Triple Shy Guy?
I think that if NTNJV makes a single roster change, which that's my follow-up question is, are they going to be allowed to make a single roster change?
I have now lost Hamilton. Freddie, can you hear Hamilton?
This is going well.
Oh jeez. All right, I think he's back. This
but
is just the best stream ever.
Horrendous.
My question was, are you going to allow the new manager of NTNJV to make a roster change?
Yeah, no, 100%. He's not going to get penalized.
Who is this new manager though?
We'll leave it as a mystery for now.
I have an idea who it might be.
Mystery.
But
Freddie, can you hear Hamilton right now? Freddie, are you losing Hamilton or is it just me? Can anyone hear me?
what's going on?
I don't know.
Can you guys
Um,
hear me?
I can
yes.
hear you. I
Fred-
can hear Ham now.
Freddie, have you been losing Hamilton as well?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
God dang.
So it might just be like a Discord server.
Maybe.
Might be.
Yeah. Petition to change it to NTM JV. No team manager, just vibes.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, but whoever
Um,
whoever the coaches of that team is allowed to make a change.
I think I know
And
who it is.
then I think they're gonna wipe the floor with 3 Shy Guys and Daisy.
You are not allowed to help.
I would disagree that I am not allowed to help.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with them helping.
On the grounds that Dirty Turtles has a season of statistics to look at, and
Okay, fair enough.
no team manager just vibes has not watched a single gameplay, like single minute of gameplay in their life of
I think I know who it is.
strikers.
Sure.
All
That's
right,
my
Fred,
friend
I'm
from college.
gonna pass it to you. Who do you have in this matchup?
You know what? I don't know why. I think I want to say the Dirty Turtles.
Gotcha. You believe in the triple shy guy dream?
Just because, as Ham said, with that entire season statistics, maybe Eric makes a change off the Triple Shy guys, or maybe he just decides, screw it, I'm sticking with my boys. Maybe something will happen. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with Triple Shy guy, Dirty Turtles.
One interesting thing to think about is I was just previewing the maps to Freddie and Hamilton, and so they got a little sneak peek of what Crystal Canyon and Stormship Stadium looks like.
Oh my god!
And not Stormship, Crystal Canyon randomly removes players before the kickoff. So I wonder if the Shy Guy team will be a strong 2v2 or 3v3 lineup because it'll be the same every time versus
Mm-hmm.
I
MTM
will,
JV maybe rotating.
I will also add that the fact that it seemed to remove the captain every single time in that preview
Oh, that's
was
true.
also possibly to Dirty Turtles' advantage.
Yeah.
Very true. With that wisdom, I'm gonna slide over to the Dirty Turtle side. And that's gonna put them through into the Toilet Bowl Grand Finals.
All Shy guy, no Daisy.
Second matchup we have is a spread triple option versus Flying Dutchman. That is Danny versus Adam. This is the true Triple Hammer Bro team, which in
Yeah.
theory, he could make a change. Ham, what you got here?
You got to give it the spread triple option here in my mind, just because the guy's got heart.
Yeah.
Does he have results? No, but he's got heart.
And like you said too, if Peach is taken off the field, that bodes well. And also, double Hammer Bros on like a 2v2 team of Hammer Bros does not seem strong to me. Fred, what you
Yeah.
doing? I could not agree more.
Oh, I did
What a-
not hear my name.
Hmm.
Give me that sweet spread triple option. The kid needs it. It after all that his team's been through, he needs the triple option needs it.
Yeah. The person who had, there was so much luck involved with this season, but poor Danny, manager of spread triple option, just got last in the draft. He's the person out of all of us that had the least amount of control. And also too, what's really funny to think about is Bowser was pick 11. So imagine if Danny had just sat at the bottom of the draft and then had gotten Bowser. What a different world that we'd live in. Also so horrendous that Bowser was that low, but anyway, that takes us to the grand finals. After everything we've just said about Danny, I can't pick anything else. I'm going with him to beat the Shy Guys.
Just
I,
BYO.
I want to see him get picked number one. Hamilton, what you doing?
I gotta go Dirty Turtles.
Really? He's
Ooh.
back in the Shy Guys. So that means the winner of the toilet bowl comes down to you, Freddie.
He's been through hell all year, and I don't. And after the crap, after the awkwardness, or just the utter decision to trade away one of the best captains away for Daisy, does not deserve the first overall pick. Give it to straight triple option.
All right. Well, Danny will hopefully go from last pick in the draft to first overall. One thing I just thought about that'd be really funny is if Eric does get the number one pick in the draft, that'll completely screw everything up.
On the
Because
contrary, it
what?
would be
He'll have
hilarious if the first overall pick in the draft was Daisy.
Right. Or whatever the hell else Eric was cooking up. Or I could honestly see him having the number one pick be Shy Guy. Which,
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that.
yeah, which for memes will be funny, but for a man who's been through it all, who's had terrible captains without any opportunity of ever being saved, it would be splendid if Danny was able to secure the number one pick in the draft.
I don't know why. I just have a funny feeling that there is a legitimate chance Eric could end up getting a triple Shy Guy again anyway, just because I don't know how everyone's gonna feel about Shy Guy going into next year.
Oh yeah, no,
It could happen,
I,
maybe.
I'm in total agreement. That is very viable. If he used his first three picks on Shy Guy, then I think that there will still be at least one Shy Guy that deep in the draft. Um, but we'll use that as a segue into our tier list of the week. So we are going to be ranking every single character in the game in terms of their
And we,
draft prospects.
We already have one already, and I think it's self-explanatory.
I like your artwork.
We already have the number one overall pick.
Yeah, let's be honest. That's worth the number one overall pick. If Danny doesn't do that, yeah, and it would be madness.
So the way I want to do this is for us to go down the line. So I'll pick someone, Ham will pick someone, Fred will pick someone, just because we have 20 characters to go through. And then eventually afterwards we can go back and edit if we want to, or we just leave it with whatever, people choose. Um
Oh,
what'd you say, Ham?
I realized that you were cutting out for me, and I thought you had just stopped talking, so that's my bad.
Okay. Did you hear anything that I said?
We're gonna go down the line. We're each gonna pick one.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's 20 characters, and then I also heard nothing after the 20 characters thing.
Okay. So I am going to say who I think has the most overall draft prospect, and then we'll go to Hamilton and Freddie. So number one, I don't know if you guys disagree with this. We can talk about it, but I think it's gotta be Bowser.
Yeah.
I think that he looks like the scariest captain. I think he was tied for Golden Boot despite playing on some wacky teams. So that would be my number one.
I'm gonna go with, in my mind, the individual who get drafted the most in the first round. I'm gonna steal Freddie's pick. I'm gonna go Dry Bones should be up there.
That
Because if
was
you're
what I
not
was
gonna
about
get
to
a
say.
captain, you're gonna get a Dry Bones.
Yeah.
Do we think that Dry Bones itself has more value than any of the other captains?
Um,
Hmm.
Petey's a good offensive threat. I do
I'm
support my boy.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I think he is so much better than all the other sidekicks that you might be right.
What about Wario?
Well,
That's your pick.
it's your pick.
Out of everyone remaining, who would you pick if you were the third overall pick?
Mhm.
Who would you pick?
I'm running it back with my boy.
Waluigi.
Give me my Waluigi.
Oh, oh,
Eh.
Oh God. Okay. Well,
Just because I trust him immensely, especially with him capturing my side to victory. I'm not against running it back with him, just
okay.
personally.
Wow.
Well, especially because um if I do have the third I'm well I might not end up having the third because I might keep my dry bones and then
Yeah,
go to last. So
I think that
uh
you should defer and try and will your way into the top three, and I do think you could secure Waluigi.
yeah.
Um, okay. Um, back to me. Now I think the one sidekick that you could put in the equation is on the board. So I think now it kind of becomes more subjective. Um,
yeah.
I think for me, I'm looking at Petey and Wario um, pretty closely. Uh, I think even though the postseason didn't necessarily go to plan, I think I am gonna go Wario. Um, even though my team with PD didn't lose during the regular season, we also only won twice. And
Mhm.
I think Wario was way more consistent than PD was across the entire season. So he would be my next up. Hamilton, what you got?
I'm gonna fill in the void that you left, and I'm gonna take Petey. I think that he is the next best captain, and I think there's a significant gap after that. There's
I,
one more I would pull up.
I think that's fair. It goes to Freddie.
Um Realistically, I'm gonna go. Who's that one? Okay, that's not who I thought it was. I'm. This is gonna be a little. I'm gonna say Bowser Jr.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Hamilton, with what you're saying, do you think he belongs in this tier up here, or are we starting to move to the A tier?
Let's move to A tier because otherwise we're gonna have like a million people in S.
That is what I meant. I mean, it obviously with arguments from Waluigi, with me personally, just feeling like I would take him that high. I do feel like Bowser Jr. Does deserve to be in the A tier, not up there with PD, Wario, and Bowser. Like
I,
Adams, uh, Grant Grant's team did get second, but it was a good overall team. It wasn't just Bowser Jr.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, and I think you've given me a layup here, which I appreciate. I'm gonna slap Yoshi in
Yeah,
next. I think that
that
I
was
view him and Bowser Jr. very equivalently as very strong captains. That I would probably take over almost any sidekick other than Dry Bones.
I'm gonna do an interesting pick here. I'm gonna go Toad. I
oh
think that the rest of the captains have a drop off, and I think that this is the point where you might really be looking at taking sidekicks over captains here.
I'm not mad at that at all. Freddie.
as I feel like this one that I think you could do a boo.
I
Okay.
don't mind the boost set.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think having those two in tandem is very fair. Um, Once again, I feel like I've been given a bit of a layup here. I really like the way that Freddie's picking. Um, I think the question more so becomes: Does
yeah.
I think I'm going to initiate a tier break,
It's fine.
and I'm going to drag Donkey Kong into the very top of B.
I don't hate it. I mean, uh, the thing is, Donkey Kong has a lot of offensive power, but he doesn't have his offensive isn't up there with the likes of Bowser because Bowser's just an absolute unit, and his speed isn't what it should be. But he's good overall. He's got a little bit more power than some other captains, but he probably deserves to be in B in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Hamilton.
I'm gonna make a pick here that I don't even know if I'm gonna agree with, but I'm gonna pick Luigi.
Mm,
I think
I
that's a
think,
pick for stat heads everywhere.
yeah,
yeah,
To be fair, I think did he three-way tied for the golden boot with Bowser, Wario, and then with PD one behind. So,
Yep.
based off what he put down on the
Yeah,
field,
Dave did
that's
really get the most out of Luigi, like you said, and it paid off for statistics.
yes. All right, Freddie. I think we're getting to a very interesting part of the list here. What are you doing?
I'm between two right now, but I would like to do my pick with a song if Hamilton would like to join me in it.
Come
Come
on,
on,
Mrs.
Mr.
Monty.
Monty. Score some goals for somebody.
I really hope there is no one listening. But
I hope everyone's listening.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's totally cool with me. I'm gonna do something that I don't think y'all are gonna agree with, but I get to make my pick, and I think that this needs to happen. I will I
Whoa,
will
from the
stand
depths.
I will stand on there being no difference between Monty and Berto till the day I die. And I don't think you
Well,
can really
I think there is
separate.
one difference.
What's that?
Monty's got a kick-ass song.
Mm, I'll have to hit the lab for Berto.
Yeah.
Um, Hamilton, what you got next?
I'm gonna initiate a tier break here,
Yep.
and I'm gonna go Hammer Bro.
Yeah.
Solid, solid. Amazing how much further down like his stocks have fallen. He's like in the bottom 3 for sidekicks now.
Yep.
Um, Freddie.
Um, I'm debating a tier break, but I'm not 100% sure considering this. It. I'm doing Shy Guy, but I'm not sure if it deserves a tier break or not, just because that matchup from Eric with the triple Shy Guy against Jaco like really altered our mindsets for about a week. Like this could actually do something, but and it still might in the toilet bowl. It could pay off for Eric with triple Shy Guy, but I'm just debating if it deserves to go up there with Hammer Bro or it deserves a tier break. I'm not sure exactly. My next pick is Shy Guy, regardless. I do think he's better character than the four remaining captains, but I'm I would I'd for now just put him up in C, because I think he does offer more than some of the remaining captains, but I'm open to discussion about it.
Yeah. We'll talk once the board is filled. I think that there is one more person on here that belongs in that tier. And that's going to be Mr. Mario. I don't think you could reasonably have him that much further down than Luigi. And I don't think Shy Guy really brings much more value than Mario does. Hamilton.
Look, when you given a vision, you can't deny it. Koopa is gonna be above
Damn
the
it! That was
remaining
my
three
next pick.
captains.
That was my next pick.
You want him? Do you want him also in C or in D? If you
To go in
responded,
S
I couldn't hear.
personally.
Give me him in C.
I want him in S
Wow,
personally.
that's a take.
Just for
Yep.
the potential. Like we don't know. Koopa wasn't really given that much of a chance, so maybe
Yeah, he
he's
was.
really god tier.
Like 16
He was-
games.
yeah.
Freddie, where are you going with the final 3?
Um, I'll be honest. I think Daisy is better than Diddy and Peach, but she's going into the D tier.
Come
But
on.
more so
Rebuild this
than
team.
Eric's, even though he did pull off a win against Jaco with Daisy.
No idea what you guys said, but I'm gonna assume it was insightful.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna take Diddy next. I'm gonna put him in the same tier as Daisy. I think his power up is all right. Um, and I don't think Daisy's is good, and she didn't teleport that much, so I don't feel bad about that. I'm pretty sure he scored more goals on the season.
What's
Um,
What's crazy is I almost drafted Daisy. It was between Daisy and Waluigi, but I chose Waluigi.
Well, you could have had a different season.
I know.
Hamilton, where would you like to place the final princess?
Crazy to think about that. This is going well.
I think Austin died again.
Hamilton,
I
where
was
would you like
worried
to
it was
place
me,
the final
so
princess?
Thanks for saying it's Austin.
Yeah, Austin, on your screen, your icon is lighting up, but I hear nothing from you.
Great.
That's good too.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
back.
Great. Hamilton, where would you like to place the princess?
Put her in D. I don't think she's actually below the other two.
Danny was trying so much. He did everything in his power to make Peach work, but it didn't.
That's
but
not
no-
true. He didn't try triple shy guy.
Yeah. Or did he? Or a triple dry bones, I think.
Nope, not only us three did for triple dry bones. Okay. Edits here. We will just open up the floor to anyone who has a grievement with this list. Honestly, I don't feel bad about it. Can you guys hear me?
This is good.
Okay.
This is electric.
Okay.
I don't know how to feel about Birdo and Beats here. Personally,
I disagree with that take, Freddie. Birdo should be in B.
Thank you, Ham. Just gonna assume that you guys can hear me when I talk because I don't know how to react otherwise.
he said my opinion is terrible and Birdo should be in B.
I didn't say it that bluntly, but yeah.
I would keep Birdo in B.
I propose Waluigi down to A.
Yeah, that's where I would not. I do think that he could belong somewhere with Yoshi and Bowser Jr. But I would not take him before.
He cut out for me again. He said I do, and then
Beautiful
noise.
I agree with everything he said. I didn't hear a word of it, but I agree with it.
Okay. You know what, Freddie? We've been kind of rude to your opinions. I'll give you one free change.
You can't fault the kid for trying.
No, you can't. Why do you think? Well, while we wait for Austin, why do you think?
Yes.
Why do you? Are you in agreement with Austin over Waluigi being an A?
Yes.
May I ask why?
I think that Austin still can't hear us. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that in my mind, Waluigi was inflated by the dry bones, and that's why I want him in A. If you want to.
Not into B tier.
Keep him going down.
The championship winning captain.
Okay, real quick before I end the podcast, because this is terrible.
Oh no.
Freddie.
We can hear you again.
Yeah, that's great. Freddie.
We do hear you.
Do you want to put him in front of the other captains in A?
Yes, I do.
Hamilton, that cool with you?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. What'd you say?
Put him where?
Where he was.
Okay.
All right. Well, GG's. I'm gonna end the podcast there.
Good job, boys.
I think Yoshi should be in front of Bowser Jr.
No. Podcast over.
Okay. All right.